Now, before we even get into this video, I thought I needed a moment to reflect on a few things here. First off, that Rich had sent me a case so I could feel around and see where there might be some extra material. And I decided that the first thing I wanted, and I wanted to do it one step at a time, is this material down here, probably on an RC engine or on a much heavier duty engine, or an engine that's going to run at a higher RPM or with a bigger prop or all of the above. We might not need some of this material. Now, I did this off camera because it took a whole night. I took and wore out that brand new Dremel tool that I have, got rid of all that material, got rid of almost a ½ ounce off of the case. And I ran and put it back in a plane because I was thinking today might be a flying day. It isn't. It's a pouring raining day. So the first thing I wanted to evaluate, or so that this discussion makes sense, is these are the motors that we use to build crutches, and we're going to be building a crutch very soon, both for Rich Jacobone and for myself. But just get some idea of not only the weight, but the mass. In other words, here's the point at which the motor starts getting heavy, but this is going to require a change in design as opposed to our 40. And our 60 is not a whole lot bigger than the 40. It's somewhere in between, of course. But I wanted to accent it so that I could really get a feel for where I have to put the vertical CG when I start designing the plane. Now, Les and I have had discussions, and we're thinking we have to lower the wing 1/8 of an inch. I think lower the wing 1/4 of an inch. And we have gone back and forth on that part of the design. But we still need to make an adjustment to use this motor. This is the largest physical case, other than the Typhoon, that I've ever had in an airplane. So what really happens is, and this is the first decision we have to make, the first decision in this whole program. This really is this right now is the beginning of next year's plane, where we normally have a center line that the motor mount pads work off, and we have a wing center line. Well, we have two decisions here, and this is, I'll make this a center line just so this kind of makes sense. The most obvious thing we have to do is shorten the nose moment arm, and I'm thinking 9 inches is going to give me still enough room to put a reasonable size fuel tank, and it looks like we're using between 5 and 6 ounces. But it's the variation. And this is where our Testarossa could have been better. We missed on having the wing in exactly the right position. If the wing were 1/8 of an inch lower, the vertical CG would have been a lot better. Now with this much heavier motor, think of how much more mass there is going on up here. I'm thinking to get us back to where we want to be, I have to lower the wing in the fuselage a minimum of 1/4 of an inch. Now, sometimes that's not easy to do, because if you have a tuned pipe in here, you can picture it starts sticking out the belly of the plane, and well, but we don't have to deal with that, because this is going to run on a muffler more than likely. But I would like to leave this area open just for future testing for the day that this plane becomes a test plane. So that then becomes a consideration. And I also wanted to make it, just so I'm not outsmarting myself, make some kind of an allowance that if we ever want to put a 76 in here, or something else comes down the pike, we don't know what's coming down the pike. We didn't know about the 90 a year ago. That we have all of the options possible. That not only will the nose need to be shorter, the wing is going to need to be lower, and then what we do is we sketch in a plane. So what's going to ultimately happen, and we're not going to do it today, of course, we're going to build a motor crutch. We're going to figure out from that center line what the nose is going to be, the front of the wing, and that wing will be in its new position. We're going to use the same exact wing, Midgley's carbon fiber wing, and then we just need to sketch in which this will actually help lowering the wing, because the tail will be able to be a little bit higher. We're probably going to extend the tail moment arm to 18 or 19 inches, and with a 9-inch nose, that ratio seems to work out pretty well. So, and then from this point on, and this is the point we haven't done yet, of course, this is the hard part. Once those, these are the things that can't change, and we want to keep. These are the keepers. And then we need to, at some point in time, between Les, John Cafaro, and myself, come up with the cosmetic part of the plane. And I've been thinking about an Enzo with big scoops back here, and maybe some scoops back in the front here, and maybe some real slick looking canopy, and maybe a bigger, taller rudder, because we know we're going to need more rudder area for the 90 on the Raby rudder. So, and we know we're going to need longer landing gear. So a lot of considerations, but what it is we've already set the wheels in motion. We've already got enough done that we kind of know where this whole thing is going. So when you decide you're going to build any new plane, these are the decisions you have to make. Kind of easy decisions. Let's just lay this out in a little storyboard here. I've been thinking about this all day. And it actually, let's use the Nobler as an example. Now years ago, and this was in my childhood, I guess, my old agehood or whatever it is, I remember this Fox 35. Boy, memories. Never even had to figure out what kind of muffler you were going to put on a plane, because basically you had no muffler. And this was real easy to figure out. Now, one of the things you could do, you could buy a kit. Old green box Nobler kit was what most people bought. You built this. Wow, you were in Fat City. It couldn't be any better than this. So you basically built the kit. And let's just look at the hundreds and thousands and Noblers that were built. Powering it, not much of a decision. Most people used the Fox 35. Most people built a kit. Now, that evolved though. And as time went by, what people did, and this really was no secret, it was one of those well-kept secrets. They would then, they would use a Nobler wing, a Nobler tail, a Fox 35, and voila, it would become the custom plane. And it basically still had a Fox 35. So there wasn't a whole lot to deal with. You changed the rudder shape, you moved the canopy either forward or back, wing pretty much stayed the same, and you put your own wingtips on it. And maybe you put wheel pants or not, or you changed the cowl parting line. But basically not a lot changed. And that was good, because you took a successful design and customized it. There was nothing really illegal about it, nothing really bad, nothing wrong, nothing not to like. But then along comes the part in everybody's life where they want something that really is theirs. And then from that point on, you've got to hopefully come up with your own wing, which Dave Midgley has the mold that we've used, and the flat tail that we've used since probably '66. And we know that the higher we can put the tail in the plane within some reasonable parameters, we're going to be very lucky. And over the years, we've come up with what we think is a good crutch motor mount system. So now we really want to design a plane that's ours. And coming up with all the parameters that'll go into this new plane, it won't be a real big secret where it's going, where it's coming from, because what we're going to do is build on all the planes of the past. We've pretty much learned something from every plane. How much side area, how much the Rabe rudder has to travel, where we can and cannot put some cool scoops. We know we have our carbon fiber spinners that we're really liking, those carbon fiber spinners. And we know this relationship now, and we can take, and what this really will be the next level. And just like you would start with one and let it evolve into another project, well, we started years ago, many years ago, with Big Jim Greenaway's Pattern Master. It's evolved into Midgley's wing mold, which has evolved into his carbon fiber plane, which has evolved into the Rojet 90 ship. Now, it's a constant evolution, and it never ends. If it ends, you're done. There's no point building the next plane. Now, some of our designs have been limited by the fact that, well, let's just use one for instance, the Typhoon. We were limited in making the Typhoon by its scale, outline, and shape. And we didn't want to have a plane with dihedral, so we made the compromise to scale of not having dihedral, among other things. We really wanted to have a 90 powered ship that was kind of scale, and to a certain degree that was our first attempt at a 90 ship. But one of the things that I noticed, and if the Typhoon had an 8-inch nose, and because it had this little small gas tank for the 4-stroke, and it really was, even at built as it was, super light and with a carbon fiber body, I still think it would have been better off with a little bit longer nose. Now, again, these are all subjective things, but what we're really doing here in essence is we're combining the good characteristics of the Testarossa, and if I can just make a sloppy drawing of this, Testarossa, by the way, had a 10-inch nose, and we know the separation from, let's call it the separation of the motor mount and the wing, center line of the wing. We know pretty much how much we're going to have to change this, and that's allowed us to put in the component parts where we think they're hopefully going to wind up, that I'll get a really good vertical CG without a lot of alteration. We hope that, we know the Typhoon was a little bit too short, and since we've retrofit Jose's plane with a 10-inch nose, we know 10 is too long, we know 8 is too short. We know that's always, there's always a real good way to figure out. I'm always of the opinion you should go right in the middle, and I do that in other trim issues too. We know the tail moment on the Typhoon, we know the tail moment on the Testarossa, and so it's going to allow us hopefully to build all these numbers in to this next design. And that's what I'm really trying to do before I ever cut a piece of wood, before I make a crutch, before I do any of this. I want to be sure that, because we're going to be using the same wing, pretty much the same wing, same thickness of tail, and the things that don't matter in the overall design of a plane. It doesn't matter what canopy you put on. It doesn't matter if you put wheel pants or not, or if you don't put wheel pants. What matters though is when you hang all these bells and whistles on a plane, is to get these relationships worked out to where the plane balances front to back and top to bottom. And in the case of our new design, we have to account for the fact that we have this a lot more mass going along. So it's not a thing we can't account for, but we're going to account for it in the side view of the plane when it comes time to actually get the old pen and put it back where we want it. Now, a lot of times it's eerie, but you can do this with a piece of Mylar. And I certainly, when we come time to actually do this lesson, I'll probably wind up doing it on a day that he has a dedicated day. We'll take the Testarossa plan that he has, and it's very accurate. It's very nice set of plans that he made. And what we'll do is, again, we'll do it with a Mylar, and we'll take and put that wing from where, let's pretend it was here. but we'll sketch it into its new position. Possibly, if we agree on a 1/4 inch down and 1 inch forward, that'll allow us to have the tail just a little higher, which I always think is an advantage, having a tail as high as possible without putting it on the top of the rudder. And then we also have to sketch in our new landing gear, because we're going to be, at a minimum, want to clear a 15-inch prop, and it'll probably allow us to design up, or Les will design up some really crazy wheel pants, but they'll be on longer gear. Now, one of the possibilities, and I don't have it yet, one of the possibilities is we're going to get these, or Rich Jacobona's trying to get these things from the Ukraine, these plug-in landing gear mounts, so we can see if that's going to be a possibility. Not sure if it is, not sure if it isn't. I also, again, because I'm thinking of things, and I was driving past the airport, yeah, was it yesterday? It was just yesterday, and there was a Ferrari, because we live right near this Lamborghini Ferrari dealership thing, where they have all these exotic cars, and every once in a while one guy will be taking one out for a road test. And I saw one go by that right back here had this really cool looking scoop. And I thought, there's something maybe Les will want to consider, or John Cafaro, is this real slick looking scoop in the back. Again, I don't know for sure, but I know for sure that you have to start thinking about this way before you actually put a pencil to paper. I know I really did like the canopy on the Testarossa. That was one of the features that maybe we'll try to continue on with, and most people did like the appearance. The rudder is going to need to be just a little bit bigger, because again, we're using 15-inch props, and to make up for that I may have to either get Les to redraw it or just physically make it a 1/4 inch bigger around the whole perimeter. That makes up for the bigger prop. Again, the nice part about this whole thing is, and George Venturini said it right, dreaming is free. And you can sit with ideas, pencils, pens, paper. Several people can concoct their ideas. But in the end, dreaming is free. And we're right at the point with this 90 that we're dreaming about it almost all the time. And this is actually, right now, the first seed has been sown for what will become our next plane. Now, I'm very convinced of a few things. Number one, that as this motor development goes on, this is just going to get better and better and better and better. Every time I hold one of these cases in my hand, it's like holding a piece of jewelry. And I keep thinking, well, among other things, we know we can live without that spacer in the back. We know if we were dealing with a brand new case, we could machine some of this off with a mill. It'd make for a lot nicer of a job, probably. This part we're probably going to have to do by hand. But this is all because we have a prototype engine. The production engine that probably will be a little bit different. Maybe, maybe not. But because we have a 9-inch nose, it won't really be critical. See, problem is on a 10-inch nose, it's critical. Everything is way out on the end of that seesaw in Jose's plane. But when you have a dedicated plane, then these extra little amounts of weight, they're not as critical because the weight isn't as far out on the end of that end of the seesaw. And the other thing that's nice is any flying that we have left in this season, and there may be a couple more days, there's actually a contest and Flushing left, but the weather has really deteriorated, and it's nothing like it was last week. But any day we can get flying, any day we can test props, any day we can test more mufflers. It's every one of those is going to wind up being a plus as we try to move this, because we're not only developing a new design, a new plane, a new fuselage, a new aerodynamic layout with the way things are, but developing a new motor that's turning a whole new diameter of prop at the same time. Pretty complex, but I think the result is going to be worth it, and I hope you'll enjoy the whole adventure of what will be our 2007 aeroplane. Yeah, this morning I get up really early. It's a really crappy day. It looks like it's rained all night. But here's my barometer. Usually this tree right here, when it has no more leaves, I'm already building. And I went through the motor mounts last night, found 4 decent sets of motor mounts, so as we wind down the flying season here, I'm going to run up to the field because I wanted to test one thing. I wanted to test this Venturi size. Now what I've done is I've taken a little insert out of the Venturi, which has opened it up quite a bit, and I just want to see how that's going to affect the run character. So even if I get 1 or 2 flights today, it'll be worth the trip up there. Because there really aren't a lot of days left. Just look at the sky and you can see that's what... Let's hope it doesn't rain for the next 20 minutes anyway, hour or so. Get this all done in an hour. Now it's not really a good sign when you get to the field and there's a ton of water and some of the things are blown over. I don't know that we're going to get anything done today, but we're sure going to give this a try. See, that big puddle out by the handle is the limiting factor. When that gets over the middle of the circle, it gets kind of dangerous to fly here. Well, it's a dark, gloomy day, and I don't think guaranteed we're not going to need any sunscreen today. Now the biggest thing will be, how is the bigger Venturi going to affect the power? As we get into bigger and bigger props, we may or may not want more power, but the limiting factor is going to be how much mileage we have. But the good news is we have 3 tanks for this plane already, one of which is a full ounce bigger if we start running out of gas. So that becomes in our favor anyway. And of course, as we get ready to design a new plane, we're going to have to know, or hopefully know, how big we're going to want the tank so we can allow for that in the tank area. And of course, where or what's going to happen, where are we going to get a tank? More than likely make one. Now, it's been my experience when it's really cold like this, and it's really cold right now, but on the first run of the day, a little lighter fluid is a cheap investment on your fingers. Again, I was pretty funny last week when, before Rich went to Italy. Of course, he's in Italy now. But, and just another thing, you know, on the way over here, I passed Teterboro Airport, and I see all the private planes. That's where I used to keep my airplane. Full-size plane. And just yesterday, Corey Lytle, one of the players for our Yankees, flew into the building and killed himself. And I think most people know my dad got killed in a plane crash, so I can really relate to how his family feels. Kind of a sad moment here for the New York people. Sad moment for everybody. So we'll just give this a couple safe flights till we see how the mileage is going to be. That has the sickening look that the clouds are rolling in here as we're flying. Now, my gut impression here, and I started with a purposefully really rich setting. But even at the rich setting where I'm nowhere near the engine brake, I'm about 300 RPM faster. I mean, I'm up in the 87. It's scary how quick this thing picks up RPM when you open that Venturi up. But again, that's like opening up the throttle. And it just seems like there's a bottomless amount of power down there if you want it. Now what's happened in the past half an hour or so, the weather's deteriorated on a pretty linear scale. And what I wanted to do with this is sneak up on a needle little by little, because I didn't want to risk having a lean run. But I don't know how far into this weather before it really starts to pour. In fact, I'm afraid to leave the camera out, because if it starts raining while I'm in the middle of a flight, I could be losing my equipment here. But even on a day like today, a lot of people don't come, well, I'm the only one here, obviously. There's always something to be learned, and I see there's a relationship right now between this Venturi size and being able to turn the big prop. With Doran's prop, that setup was almost perfect, and we got enough video to confirm that that's one that's in the bank. But what we want to look for is something with a 15-inch prop. Now what we're really striving for here is a setup that'll run a 15-inch prop, and then we're going to try to go back and retest some of the wood props, because we do have some 15s. And we just hope the weather, I just hope it's, but you never can tell. The one thing about this time of year, unpredictable. And it's always better to have 10 rich flights than one lean one, I think. That's my feeling anyway. Or get whacked once. I don't like getting whacked. Now actually for a day it was a horror. Boy, the air has gone down the drain in a hurry. It is just swirling, and it's going to rain momentarily. The clouds are getting blacker, and I don't want to get caught out here for a lot of reasons. First off, this is not my plane. I don't want to in any way jeopardize it. And we've had such good luck with it so far, I just don't want to have to go back and go through this whole thing again. But what's happened is, as I've gone through this test day, with the big Venturi, it really runs tight on fuel. So we have a cure for that, thanks to Rich Oliver, and what it allows us to do is do it without a lot of, without even using a wrench. And this is something we've been using constantly. It works on pretty much every setup. Now, one of the things that we've been using, and we've been using it on all of the setups. I think Rich Oliver is going to write an article about it, but it's really no big secret. What we have is, in this case, we've gone back to having a green air filter, but that doesn't really matter because we can put the pantyhose right underneath it. Actually, right on top of it, it won't matter. This little pantyhose thing, and what a great way that is. Now we know the Venturi we started with is now a little on the big side in terms of mileage, but we don't want to. I don't want to go changing a Venturi. Well, how easy is this? This is just a lot easier to, let's see if we got a double layer here. Yes, we do. All I need to do is, I don't think his tool, no, the tool that we had this nifty little tool that fits the 76, but it doesn't fit this. So anyway, let me find an appropriate piece, and we can fine tune this infinitely. And when we were in Texas, we were comparing how many layers of pantyhose equal a green filter and a black filter, and it was, I'm not sure if I remember 4 or whatever, but we'll just start by putting 2 layers of pantyhose on there. Now we also have to get the good old-fashioned O-ring. Where is the O-ring? Maybe we can sneak by here. I think, yeah, my good friend John borrowed the last of the O-rings. Oh, okay, John. Well, as an alternative, if we don't have an O-ring, we can use the rubber filter, the base of the filter. Sometimes you just have to improvise just to get those last. Now, when I go home, I'll put an O-ring on here. Now, let me just show this, how this works. Now you can see, even without an O-ring, I can get the filter on there, and then I have my choice. I can put a black filter, I can put a green filter, and I just keep little pieces of panty there blowing around. In fact, it feels like, and I just heard some thunder in the air. And since my experience in Coxsackie and in Texas, I think we're going to call this session to an end. I'm going to put the green filter on top of this, right on top, and then I can trim this with a scissor if I want to really be cute. Now, that's a trick that Rich Oliver is the inventor of, I guess is the right word. And we've used it on pretty much on every plane up here, including Brian's and Rich's. You need a couple extra laps. Let's say in this case we were getting where it was starting to burp, you know, before the four-leaf clover. Well, this is real easy. This is an easy way to do it. A lot easier. A head gasket will usually give you some laps, but this is a lot. You can just see how quick that goes in. Anyway, we're going to try to avoid, and I see the weather's really breaking right now. We're going to roll it up. I do not want to get caught out here and turn this plane. This plane is, for all purposes, served us well, and I want to respect it. And another thing worked out well. I heated these gear and pigeon-toed them up about, I've got another about a ½ inch of prop clearance, but I always check the prop tips because if they pick up a stone, they'll start to split a wood prop. We really are close on prop clearance. But we're getting to use the 15s, and the nice thing is we can always go back to our 4-blade setup and the smaller Venturi. Rich has a little Venturi insert. Now just picture if we had to move that Venturi insert, put that Venturi insert in, we'd have to pull a needle out, in this case we got to pull a motor out of the plane. Well, this gives us adjustability that we can do, and it's like a fine thread, one layer at a time. We can just add laps to the end of the pad. It's like closing the throttle. Or in the other case, get to the field on a really hot day and you need a little more power, take a layer or two off. So thanks to Rich Oliver, that's now, and I'm sure he's going to write about that in Control Line World, and we'll get to see the whole write-up on it in one of the future issues. Now I get back from the field and love these things. Love Karen's little way of decorating the house, of course. It's Halloween. Of course, the Yankees have been eliminated from the playoffs, but look what happened next door. And you can't make this up now. Everybody knows up in this room here, our neighbor Mike is a tremendous St. Louis Cardinal fan. He goes to St. Louis every spring, does spring training with the Cardinals. He has seats from Busch Stadium up in his room of collecting. He's got a full-size thing of Stan Musial. Giant Cardinal fan. So look what happened to his house. Now look, you can't make this up. I'm assuming his son, Michael, who's a Met fan. Look at this. I think this is priceless. Look at the poor Cardinal. Whoops. I gotta find out who actually made this. This is beautiful. So anyway, tonight's the first game in a not even a World Series. It's the playoffs, second round of the playoffs. And I'm just thinking, poor Dad's a Cardinal fan. I wonder if I wonder when he gets home from work if he knows the kids put this up. Unbelievable. Another absolutely gorgeous day, and I hope we're going to get to do some more testing today. Warren Walker is in Virginia. Within a day or two he'll be up here. I think he's coming in for Sunday. Now this morning we're continuing our Venturi tests. I took a square one flight, and because it's really cold out here, in fact it's a double sweatshirt day, I wish I brought a jacket. We're running way too tight on fuel. So the choice is going to be put some more pantyhose on the motor, pretty much try to fine tune it in 2 or 3 layers of pantyhose at a time, because it's just running way too tight on fuel, number one, and it's getting way too frisky in this cool weather. And this is what's nice about using this method. Normally we would have to change a Venturi, especially when it's cold like this. Well, this gives us yet another choice now, because we can just take the pantyhose. Let's See, we had 2 layers on there. We could just add some pantyhose, and obviously we could change the Venturi too. And we do have a smaller, I think Richard sent one more that I haven't even had on a plane yet, but this Venturi for sure is way too big for these conditions. Now, if we were in 90-degree air, this might be just perfect. But not today, because it's cold, baby. Oh, is it cold? So we could randomly pick now which ones we want to use. In fact, I'm going to stack them. Rich has stacked as many as 10 on his. And all it does right now, it's going to hopefully get us a little mileage. I got to get some O-rings too. I see I don't have any for O-rings. This is a little trickier than doing the 76 one, pretty much because the Venturi is just physically bigger, and with all its pantyhose it gets even bigger. And because I'm freezing. Okay. Now we could also either leave off or just add. In this case we're going to choke it way down because I don't want to run the risk of running out of fuel. I'd rather have a little less power. Okay. And it certainly was a lot quicker than changing a Venturi or head gaskets or whatever. But what this is allowing me to do too is get familiar with the characteristics of the motor. Just the overall motor characteristics. And early in the morning like this. And when I get out here early and it's cold and I haven't had enough coffee yet, oh man, the pain, the agony. The agony. But anyway, we will try to get the rest of the day tested with the 15-inch prop. And by constantly putting pantyhose on or off, we can really fine-tune it. But I can't live with the fact that I'm getting close on fuel. I don't want to do that. There is a contest this Sunday, but needless to say, we're not real concerned with the contest at this point. We'd rather just have people test fly the plane. Now what was amazing is how many RPM. We were running this at 8,500. And this bigger Venturi, it was going right up near 9,000 there the other day. It didn't take long, especially in the cool weather as part of that, of course. No, I just been adding pantyhose every flight, and I've gotten so much pantyhose on there that I just think it's time. I think we'll just put the smaller Venturi back in there. In this cold weather, big Venturi in cold weather, just it's making way too much power and it's using up the fuel way too quickly. So maybe on a hot day we'll come back and do this test over, but not for today. In the past, what I've found is not many people want to spend this amount of time or energy at the field to figure a lot of this stuff out. It's really not that difficult to figure out. But boy, is it time consuming. And right now, it's cold. So maybe we should be thinking it's going to be colder later this week. See, we just don't want to give up any flying time. That's the whole problem. And luckily, this is a very good plane for doing this testing because it's easy to get in there and work on things. Where if we had a fancy plane with a cowling and everything, we wouldn't be able to get as much done. And what we're looking to do is get data in the database. Now, very eye-opening to see how that bigger Venturi upped the power all at once and got rid of the mileage. Boy, if you were looking to pull around a dumpster or something, this would be the Venturi of choice. But it is a radical change. And I think we have another Venturi in it. Maybe I ought to try that other Venturi we have in it. I don't know what size Richard made that. We're going to have to find out. An awful lot of people that I've found in my lifetime, they do everything except do the tests. They talk about it, they write about it. The problem is the energy and the time it takes to do this. It's unbelievable. Just takes a lot of time. There's just no easy way. I'm going to see if we have another Venturi, and I don't even know what size it is. Now I know an awful lot of people don't enjoy this part of it, but I do. Anyway, now this was a significant, giant upgrade, like opening the throttle. Now I can give you an example of what this is like. I had a 283 Chevy in 55, 56 or whatever. I didn't have it in 55. It was already a 60, I don't know, whenever I got my license. And the first time I learned about carburation, I had a 2-barrel carburetor, I put a 4-barrel on. It got faster. I put 2 4-barrels on, it got slower. Because it couldn't breathe. You'd hit the gas, it just... So we've pretty much arrived at that point right now. And you always have the option in tuning, you always have a lot of options. Compression, Venturi size. Now if it were warmer out, I would be thinking this would work, well, you'd have a lot better chance of using that power, but in cool weather like this, that power is just overwhelming. So we're going to put our little 247 insert back in, and it isn't like people think, oh, hey, you wasted your whole day at the field. No, you really didn't, because a lot of times when you learn things like this, and I've got to make sure this hole lines up perfectly, you can put things in the bank that'll serve you well for years. Now Richard really made this a tight fit. Wow. But that hole, right where that hole is, that hole has to line up. That's what we had a problem with in the beginning. We weren't getting that hole lined up perfectly. A little tiny hole has to line up just perfect. Okay, now it's just a question of putting it back together. Well, it doesn't look like it's warming up. Oh, man. Ooh, my hands are hurting. Anyway, if it doesn't get any warmer, and I don't think it will, now that we've got the original Venturi back in here, may want to retest all the props in the cold weather, the wood props. Always good exercise, changing the props. Well, we're getting our first test of really, I'm going to guess it's 50 degrees out here. The air density is 96. But we got some really There's some horsepower in the air here. And if we do, well, if we make any gains here, we'll shoot some video from the tripod. But right now, sometimes it's a gain just knowing that we've gone too far, and I think it's significant to know that what too big on that Venturi is. That Venturi, we tried like heck even with a bunch of pantyhose, 7-8 layers of pantyhose, but I always want to know where the point is where it's now too big or too small, and once I know that point, and I know the point, well, definitely better, definitely, with the 248 Venturi and the green air filter. That seems like the best combination we've been able to come up with today. And we have tried. But sometimes you don't get to move the bar higher, sometimes you do. All right, Rich, looks like John and I have the field all to ourselves, and John doesn't want to fly. What a combo. We'll put a new battery in the camera. Maybe we'll get some flights for you. All I can tell you, baby, is it's cold out here. Whoa! Now this is where it starts to really get interesting. At least interesting to me. We have a 15.5 on there now. This is a prop. This is the one John Brodak sent. This is a 15.6. Now what Rich wanted me to try to do is get the motor running at a lower RPM and just see if we had any gain from running the 6-pitch prop at a lower RPM. Now, I don't know if the spinner is going to fit, but these wood props are gigantic. But now that we have the one from John Brodak, we know this is a totally usable setup here. This is not a bad setup at all. Doran's 4-blade is still the, if we were going to enter a contest or something, I'm guessing that's the one we'd want. But since we're not entering contests, and since we are trying to learn, this one I would say is in the bank. And this is a 15.5 rev up. That's one. This is a 15.6. And this is from Rich Oliver. This has already been on a plane. It must have been on Al's plane. Yeah, you really don't, there's hardly any. Rev ups are always underpitched for whatever reason. I'm not sure what that reasoning is. Zingers seem to be overpitched. Rev ups seem to be underpitched. So what we're going to do is give this a try. Now the setup that we have, and you really can't shoot video today because we're going right into the sun. It just couldn't be worse. You just couldn't pick, if you wanted to pick a scenario to have your opponent fly, this would be it. But this will be a couple of test runs anyway. Now, you would think, or not always true, that we could drop this down a couple hundred RPM at a minimum. Now, let's see if the spinner fits. That's another thing. As these props get thicker, the spinner doesn't want to. Now, the spinner's not going to fit on that. Okay, so we'll fly without a spinner. It's not like we have to have the spinner here at all times. And we'll give this our I should say this. Give this our best shot. Now I'm trying to use up some of this cold day because it's basically not a flyable day. This is turning into cold air coming off the lake, and it's very swirly and unpredictable, but it's certainly good enough for doing this testing, and you can tell right away, like today, we can kind of make a decision which is the better of the two, the 6-pitch or the 5-pitch. Do we want to run at a little lower RPM, a little higher RPM? And it's always nice just having your square one thing in the bank. You can play all day, and if everything fails, if nothing else works, it's real easy. Just put the other prop, put the 4-blade back on, and we're right back where we started. And with the little Venturi back in there, there's plenty of mileage, so we do get, there's no threat of losing the plane. Now as I walk the lines out between flights, one thing is really obvious. Ooh, we do have some kinks here, so that's what I was afraid of. I've been monitoring the lines because remember we did leave these at the field overnight. And I just want to make sure they're okay. Beside the point, here's what's happened with the 6-pitch. I have put 4 or 5 flights on here now, richened it up a little each flight, put 4 layers of pantyhose on, and it's still what I call frisky. The 5-pitch is a better choice. But now I know. And the engine turns this a 15.6 very happily, except it's got too much pitch. So it would be, if we had a sweeper size plane, that would be the proper choice. This plane, it's a little happier with the 5-pitch. Now it could be that if we got a 90-degree day, an 80-degree day, that this would be fine. And it wouldn't be a big deal. But in the cool weather, remember today it's cold, relatively cool. And there would be ways of dealing with this. Sure, we could put a couple of head gaskets in and even choke it down more, but then we're kind of defeating the purpose of what I want to do here. It just seemed like a lot better match for the 15.5 and certainly a better match for Doran's prop. And I have another one of Doran's props. Actually, I ought to test it right now while I'm testing props. I took one of Doran's props and just added a tad of pitch to it just to see if it would be, well, there'd be any gain or loss in it. And as long as you have a box with all these props to test, this is what makes it fun and exciting to me. This is the part of it, and I call it development, but a lot of people shy away from this. They want to just go to the field, gas on a plane and fly, and that's cool, but this challenges me. And well, I'm just really wasting flights here. What I'm doing is marking up the RPM. This was fast at 7,500. And I got two more. I got a 16-inch, a 16 4 1/4 to test. I'm just hoping I don't break it, but I always have a feeling, you know, and it's a gut feeling, that we're going to wind up at the end of the day. And this is the kind of stuff, you know, that like a sixth sense. I think at the end of the day we're going to wind up with Doran's 4-blade here, but we will have learned and eliminated a lot of these tests, and then we can do even more fine-tuning on the 4-blades. And this kind of stuff, it's endless, it never ends, and you get frustrated and you think you're not getting, and all of a sudden you find something that works great, and the ride home is a sweet thing. after an incredibly long and cold day of testing. And it's never a problem to come back to our square one prop. It's nice if we can push the envelope. Some days you can, some days you can't. Today we wound up at the end of a day, and maybe the end of a gallon of fuel, right back where we were. Smaller Venturi, door and 4-blade prop right out of the mold. Oh boy, and our trees have got about 2/3 of the leaves off it already. We still have 2 contests left. We still have development to do, but we're losing our weather, and today was just the first example of a day that really was not real pleasant being out there. It was cold, and you can always tell it's the time of the year the birds start loving me. Okay, this morning we're getting ready, trying to get the field ready. Got Doug Moon's plane here. Peabody's flying Doug Moon's plane. I got to fly this last year. Good flying plane. Made from a Bear kit. And what we got to do is move all the barrels around. Now I'm glad you wore your old clothes. You can help move the barrels. It's about time you did your fair share of work here. Anyway, Warren Walker is in Virginia, in transit. We expect him in later today, so I'm not going to stay at the field late today. I want to get home, get washed up, get ready for his visit. We're looking forward to seeing him and his wife Ramona and having a great couple days. I guess Peabody isn't doing the pattern. Well, maybe it's better because we got to get over there and start moving the barrels around. This is a couple hours of maintenance. John's working on getting rid of some of the water over here. We want to get the field ready for tomorrow's contest. Yeah, it looks like we got the field under control by now. Yeah, Raul is excellent. He knows just when to get here, right? That Raul's something special. So here it is, a beautiful, beautiful fall day in October. The leaves are changing, the leaves are falling, the wind's blowing about 30 miles an hour. And any moment now, Ramona and Warren Walker are going to be arriving in their motorhome from California to visit us. Now when we went out to visit them, they were the ultimate hosts. And Karen has prepared a nice dinner. She's decorated everything in a Halloween motif, and we're just waiting. Around that corner is going to pull their motorhome, and we hope we're going to be able to park right in front of the house here. And the Mets series is tied up 1-1 for whatever that's worth. We may even watch a Met game tonight. Let's go Mets. Karen baked some fresh chocolate chip cookies. May have to have one of these when she's not looking. I don't want her to see me. I've been caught! I've been caught red-handed. Hey, these cookies smell good. What else is on the menu here?
Just
chicken pot pie, or what's going on here?
No, that's
some more stuff?
That's a banana walnut cake.
Oh, this is my favorite, rolls. Oh yeah, Come on, Warren, hold the pedal to the metal here. I'm getting hungry. And as always, one of the things Karen takes a lot of enjoyment from is whenever we have house guests, making a festive, I don't know, dinner table, I guess is the right word. Festive, I'm a mean pumpkin. Where the hell is Warren? Come on, Warren, we're getting hungry, baby. We really do enjoy entertaining our friends, and Warren and Ramon are certainly among the best. Oh, I wonder where they are. I wonder where... Ah, there they are! Nice motorhome. Hey, how's everything in California? Oh!
Okay, hold, here we come.
Here goes Mike's car. Watch this. Check this out. Uh-oh. Say goodbye to Mike's car.
Okay.
Look at this. Oh my God, unbelievable.
Hard turn.
Yeah, that's rough.
Okay, they can park right here.
Okay, yeah. I am impressed.
Watch Mike's car.
Don't worry, we pull right up to her car.
Hey, they have plenty of room. Okay. Mountain air.
Look at this vehicle. Wow. Now look at this thing in the back. He's got bicycles. Oh my God.
We'll have to go inside. It's too cold.
You won't believe what they have next door. They have two of these.
Oh, do they?
Oh, look at this.
Oh,
Check it out. Hey.
God.
Hey, you don't sniff windy when you get the jersey. Hey, how are you? Latest pilot in the 90 development is Warren Walker of California. Early in the morning. 48 degrees when I left the house. Cold. I'll tell you the history. Warren built, you know, the Red Baron, the air racer? He built one, and by his house is what's left of the real Red Baron. And he had a piece of it machined up for tip weight. So in his Red Baron, I think he lost the plane already, but he had a piece of either steel or aluminum that actually was part of the real Red Baron. So Warren's here for a couple days. We're gonna make him fly to 90. And it's a good way to start the day off. Now when I went out by Warren, they were having all these horrible forest fires. The water bombers were over his house. You know, these things like with the, they drop water on the fires. Oh man, it was scary. It was unbelievable. Now I got some time I could spend if you want me to look at your plane too. If there's anything you're looking at, I don't know.
I just need to fly.
Well, that's why we got here early, because in a half an hour, you know, there'll be 20 people here, and then it's going to be a problem.
5 flights in on Monday.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
We got some flights yesterday. It wasn't a great day. It was
windy, wasn't it?
it was breezy, yeah.
Oh, God, up by me was a hurricane.
But it's a shame for Warren to come all the way from California and not get to fly to 90, you know? I got another engine, should be here next week. It's Jacobone's engine, but because he's in Italy, I'll run his engine for him. I'll get it all broken in. I got to make him a crutch, too.
Incoming. Get out of there.
Seagull getting him? Oh, yeah, yeah. He almost got him. Oh, Warren almost got him again. Oh, man. The bird killer, Warren Walker. Oh. Brian hit 2 of them this year that he didn't hurt the plane either. I hit one with the lines earlier in the year. They just chased the plane. You don't know what the hell it's all about. We stayed up late last night. Karen made a big dinner. We had a great time. It was really a nice night, yeah.
Seems like a nice guy.
Oh, he is. He's great.
He's flying a Vector 40.
He's got a beautiful workshop. Man alive. The workshop you can't believe. I think we're gonna go down by the Statue of Liberty today. Yeah, we're not gonna stay long. I'm not gonna enter the contest. Because we got his wife's gonna be. They want to go. I think we're gonna go over to the city later. Go see us. Again, I don't know. The women were plotting against us last night. I don't know what they have in mind. You know, when you're dealing with people who want to see things. I'm sure if it was up to Warren, he'd say, "Let's stay here and fly all day," you know.
That thing turns on a dime.
That's a nice motor. The smell of napalm early in the morning. Warren Walker's first flight on the 90 in New Jersey. Buddy Weeder's turn. Flying the Rojet 90 as the sun comes up over the hills. Buddy was at a stunt for, if I remember right, 40 years. He's back into it now. He's built several planes, and I'm sure he's got the bug as bad as any of us have. As the sun comes up, it becomes a problem. Is if you're doing maneuvers here, it goes. The sun reflects off the glass on that building. He's safe if he stays here. So we're trying to have us a little fun fly before the people start rolling in. I don't know what time they're going to be here. Today is a contest, but well, it doesn't matter to us. I really wanted Warren to get a flight on this, and we may get some more, depending on who shows up here soon. You see the light reflecting off that building? For the next hour, if you have to fly right in that corner, it's unbelievably bad. Where Buddy is, it's not a problem. But over in that corner, that light, it's like looking into two suns. It's like having a sun on each side. And then about an hour from now, it'll be perfect.
Now, does the wind ever blow? You have to look right into that?
Oh yeah.
Does it?
About 90% of the time.
Oh, boy.
Well, I don't know how. It's a miracle it isn't doing it now. Usually early in the morning, you're looking right. You could do your intersections in the sun. Buddy's one of the guys that's really a nice guy. Very, very talented, but he doesn't have right now like world-class equipment. He's got a Cavalier that's nice for nostalgia, but the plane he built this year came out real heavy. Next year's plane, he's got to work on lightening it up a little bit.
Well, we all do.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'd like mine. I'd like to have it at 5 ounces lighter. I ground some of the metal off of this crankcase to make it lighter.
Really?
When Dubby gets his motor back, he's going to be mad at me, I'm sure.
What kind of fuel are you running now?
Rojet fuel.
That's that?
Yeah, no castor oil.
Really? No problem.
None. When you're done with the day, you don't even have to wipe the plane off. There's nothing to wipe off.
And that's just going through a muffler. There's no pipe or anything.
There isn't even a muffler. It's just a header.
Just a header.
I haven't made the muffler yet. The muffler's out in Simi Valley. Scott's making them, yeah. I got 4 mufflers out there. This is just a header with 2 pipes sticking out the bottom. If I had a Bearcat, that's the sound I'd want right there. Al would just love to have that sound coming out of the back of a one of those warbird things.
That's critical mass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty impressive plane in real life. I got a lot of video of that flying on a Texas video. I gotta make you a copy of it, 'cause you will enjoy that Spitfire. And you gotta really listen to what the guy's saying, because almost every sentence is something incredible that you can't believe. You can't believe how dedicated the guy must have been. 250,000 number 3 wood screws are in the tail. Now who would count that?
Wood screws.
Wood screws.
Wow.
The bottom of a Spitfire, listen on the video when he talks about it. Little tiny wood screws. And what they did, they made the Spitfires in hundreds of locations. The idea being if they got bombed out, they didn't lose the whole factory. Now you can see where the sun is in the building now. And Warren's getting another flight. We call Warren, his new name is the Seagull Killer. He almost got that seagull on the last flight. You can see how the sun is. There's going to be about an hour of time now where that sun is a problem. And if you turn around this way, see, it's a problem both ways. Anyway, after this flight, Buddy's going to take his plane out. We were going to work on Buddy's plane a little while here before they start the contest. And I assume it's in a half an hour there'll be more people here. But I think we stole the best hour of the day. And I think Warren will have something to I'm just in love with the sound of this motor. I'm almost tempted to start designing up a warbird of some kind. Something with a big growly, snarly radial. And you can see behind Warren, the leaves are already changing. When Warren leaves us and heads north, he's in that about 1 month period every year where the leaves are going to be real pretty. He's had quite a nice cross-country trip so far. It's been pretty good. And again, we're subject to what the women have decided to do this afternoon. They certainly, we're going to fool around here for an hour or so, couple hours, and then we're going to head back to the house for some brunch or lunch, or if they want to go out to eat. Many mornings when I'm here with the stooge doing my development work, I'm looking right into that sun. Where that building is that unbelievable? And it's amazing, the sun and that, it's almost like you couldn't, that 1 hour and a half where it kills you. Boy, if ever was a sound that brings back pleasant memories of the days before this became a tune pipe event. Ooh. Grunting and groaning and growling. Walt Russell's Helldiver. John Cafaro's P-51A. See, Warren's not used to hitting it hard on top of the hourglass, I can tell. He's used to flying a plane that's soft up there. This plane, you can just hit it like with a sledgehammer. It doesn't matter. But every time we get somebody to fly the plane, we get more feedback on Rich Oliver's motor development. And we've added to that list constantly. And I A couple of weeks from now, we're gonna have the last contest of the year. Is gonna be flushing, and then we're gonna be cutting wood full time. And we're gonna be designing up and finalizing the plans for our 90 ship. And the build-a-thon. Dave's already planning out the build-a-thon to build the wings. And if you're a subscriber, I'm sure you'll enjoy every minute of that time. You will just, there'll be something for everybody. That's a pretty, look at it close. Look at the fuel tank and stuff.
On the construction article.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Great.
There's a lot of little stuff you don't notice, like how he's got the tank mounted. A lot of cool little stuff.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well, the real deal about that is that little saddle, the back side of the saddle's got a grid of holes in it. They're spaced at 32nd apart, 4 rows.
You start the saddle on the fuel tank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you can ratchet the thing up in 32nd degree increments.
It's like on a ratchet system.
And you can put it back exactly the same place after you take it off.
Perfect.
It's not one of these deals where the tank's always sliding around.
You got one, buddy?
You never got the tank
Jim
on
gave
the
me one.
profile.
That's the same thing, huh?
Wow. That's really nice.
Yeah. Okay.
I got the Enyas, 4 strokes.
The only one they
Got
had
the
is
hot,
Needed some exercise.
He needed some, is right.
Half life's good, I'll tell you.
John's already flown it.
Motor went down about that.
So I think they're getting ready to start the contest.
With that one, I had a lot of problems. I never really got it. You can see the spots. You know how when silver doesn't lay flat? It looks shady.
How did this plane get all wet? You went through the big puddle?
He stopped on a dime, though.
I'll tell you, look at this. There's a puddle this big. You would think a professional stunt flyer, professional.
Yes, he was.
The pride of Long Island would have known not to land in the water.
I can't help
The plane's soaking wet. What is this nonsense? Look at this.
He stopped on a dime, though. He picked up a dime right in front of the airport.
Look at this. It's soaking wet. Bad to the bone. John Saunders seeing how much exhaust he can breathe and still stay standing.
Jeez, look at that.
Look at this. Look, is this the definition of let's see about if there really is something to this carbon monoxide poisoning test?
I stopped on a
In the middle of a puddle. Is that a real dime or a fake Rudy Ryback dime?
I bent over to pick up the plane, and there was that dime.
The pride of Long Island, I'll tell you. I feel safer at night knowing you're at the controls. I sleep better at night.
Yeah, me too.
Holy mackerel.
Massachusetts.
In New England? Yeah.
I'll take a picture of it.
Yeah. I do have a picture of him.
That's
That's
doing real good. He's doing great.
fantastic.
He's actually got back in the building again.
He's on it.
Two Satos.
Right?
Right.
And it's a show and tell. He's not flying at the contest, but he's brought out to show it to us, you know? He's got 25 lead outs on the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Hummel wouldn't let him fly it.
No way.
No, both Hummel and Dave Cook, they both said,
They poo-pooed it?
they said, you're not flying this plane at one of our contests. Go on and put some lead outs on the thing.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
wasn't trying to fly it that day. They said before you bring it to a contest again to fly it, put a lead.
And he did. I remember he did. He replaced them.
He was trying to save weight. That's why he went to the 20
Say,
times.
let's go see. Hey, Jim, where's your plane? Come on, bring it over here.
He likes to build wings, obviously.
Wait till you, this, talk about the liberal left.
Wow.
Boy, Barbara Streisand would love this plane. This is about as liberal as it gets. Holy mackerel.
Look at that.
Jim, you've how many flaps?
It's got 6 of them?
How many flaps?
And they all
Do they
work.
all work? Make them work. Make them work. Don't kiss me. Make
It's
them work.
Sunday, they don't
I
work
already
on
had my
Sunday.
gay experience for the day. Move. Make them make.
It's an octoplane.
Look at them all move. What is it? 1, 2,
It's a,
4, 5, 6,
Oh my God.
8. It's an 8-o-matic.
Octa.
Octogenarian.
It's
Let me
not a monoplane.
what kind of lead outs you got on?
It's not a triplane, it's an octoplane.
It's a Horatio Phillips multiplane. He made one in around.
I guess they didn't go into
90s.
production.
He made
Is that what you're trying to say?
He made a 50 winger in 1897, and then he
Wow.
made that was a 50 winger in 1897. This was a 20 winger that he made in 1907.
Is that the one you see in the old footage?
Is this where the
it's going down the
streamer
runway
goes
and
when
I
it
don't
you
know.
fly
Yeah.
combat?
7 wings come off at once.
all collapse?
Hey, Wendy.
Let's
That's where the
see.
streamer goes when you fly combat.
Oh, is this a Tom Morris approved control system here?
Oh yes.
Wow.
That'll put Tom out of business. Look at that.
That's
Holy
wild.
mackerel. Jim, you're in a class by yourself.
Is that good or bad?
We don't really want
How does it fly?
to share that with you. Everything he has flies good, believe it or not. He's a cool guy. But now wait. Tell him how he used to have a 4-stroke, so he couldn't figure out how to start the motor. So he figured out he bought an electric starter. That's cool, right? Now tell me if I'm lying, Jim. You're a Christian too. He decides he's got this cute little wife. Honey, go get the battery out of the car. The wife at Brodax, now he's laughing. If God has made his wings fall off this plane. He has his little wife, 80-pound wife, go to the car, open the hood, take the. Did he do this? No.
I took it
Then
out.
his wife's getting all dirty carrying his battery.
No, she never actually took it out of the car, but
But she carried it.
carried it back to the car. She carried it around.
So being the man he is, he carries the 12-ounce plane, and Sweet
Carrying the 40
Sweet Pea is carrying the tractor battery around.
But,
Does she do construction work at your house?
I'd start moving stuff, and she would just pick up the battery. I didn't even ask her to do it. She would just pick it up.
And she'd launch his plane. Now, she looked like she was in a wind tunnel when he started this thing. Parts were flying, grease in her eye. She took. She's a real. Where is she anyway?
She's a
She's in
trooper.
church. She's
Oh.
teaches Sunday school. Bless her heart.
Yeah, she's a good woman. That is the definition of a modeler's
Very
wife.
good woman.
Even Karen was impressed. So when are you gonna fly this? Come on.
Well,
This guy came all the way from California.
I came
Can we
just
do
to see
that
this
around
fly.
here?
Buddy Weeder will fly
I
it.
say
Sure.
we're going to have a pilots meeting right now.
You gotta fly it on the circle where the puddle is, and we're not gonna tell you why.
When I was at that fundraiser for that air museum,
Yeah.
I think it was last late summer, was it? The
Right.
fundraiser. I landed in the water.
I got it on video.
Okay, I want that tape, and maybe today's.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Money talks. I'm in it for the money. Money. Karen's not here.
I don't know, Jim. It's only got one motor. You'll lose it.
Look at him. Look at his wallet he's got. Let me see that wallet.
Makes up for wings, though.
Oh, you
So
used to sell drugs out of that wallet? Mossa fly. You could send me the money. And remind me, leave a message with Karen on our answer machine. Didn't I say?
We're going to fly experts over here. The judges are going to be Brian and Rich Peabody. We're going to fly intermediate and beginners, if we have any beginners over here. And we'll fly scale and advanced over there. Are you awake yet, Dan? Okay, now we're going
Danny came in by motorcycle.
Got a plane with you today?
He wants you to fly the Fokker plane. How many wings has that thing got?
How many is it up to now?
He's 8. He's got an 8-wing Fokker plane. Is it time to do an oil change, Ralph? You should just take this to Jiffy Lube. What's the big deal? Put it up on a ramp. Check the power steering fluid too. Buddy Weeder's quick lube. Hold it by the little wires on the wing. Keep in mind, buddy, that's my Sato 72 in there. Might not start on the first flip. Maybe, maybe not.
Needle valve.
Ralph, I got a starter in the car if you want to borrow it. Takes all the fun out of being a scale flyer if you have a starter, huh? Yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
I mean, you just went from one career to another.
This is Mike Cooper's.
That's great.
Cooper's the president of the club. Where is he? Mike. Okay, finally running after 45 minutes of shutting off, killing every battery on a circle. Lampione stepping on everybody's line. Bobby, you're on Jimmy's lines. He isn't, but we'll have some fun. There we go. Uh-oh. Oh.
That was,
All right, so much for the last hour of starting the motor resulted in 1/3 of a lap. A typical scale flight. Sumner, where's your wife? You should have a wife to... Why do you think people get married in this modern day? So somebody has to carry the crap across the field.
Yeah.
You gonna fly that thing now?
I don't know.
Come on, I can only be here another hour. I gotta go to church.
No.
You're eating into my church time. I could wind up not going to heaven. What do you got in here? I don't have this much stuff in my house. You in the construction business or something?
Magic mark. I gotta put my number on the plane, of course.
Oh yeah, we all do with a magic on. No sense painting it on.
What a flying advanced and scale over
Yeah,
there?
yeah. I think scale is over here. Why don't you put a flight in on this circle?
Will they let me?
Yeah, come on, I'll launch you. This is the circle you want to... Jim, if you want to land in that puddle, I'll get it on video.
Take it and redo it. Put it back together.
Yeah, that's Hampshire's.
It's got the same canopy.
Yeah, the little submarine kind of canopy.
He uses all the automotive paint. He's an automotive painter.
Yeah, he's a body guy.
it's like it looks.
Yep.
When you think about all the heavy built planes out there, there's definitely a market for 90, right?
You're up next, Jose.
Who's flying there?
You.
No, I think Neil's going out.
Who's going, Neil?
Ellen J. Larry Ford.
I wonder what he's thinking. What a bunch of lunatics.
Nice airplane, huh, Winifred?
I like it. The show is ready. The Jim Sumner show is just beginning. The goal is to fly into the puddle. Jim, in real life, did these ever land in the water?
Yes.
These Venetian blind things?
This one, yes.
Not so far, anyway.
Place to hold it?
Yeah,
Yeah, don't stand in front of it is the answer.
hold this over here with your left hand.
Ray. Sarah.
Oh, the Hell's Angels just pulled in. Look at this. You believe this? Is that a trumpet?
Trumpet or a Biza.
Hell's Babushkas. You never know what's going to show up here in Tony Soprano's hometown. Unbelievable. Feels like you're not holding anything, huh, Ray?
Ready?
Cars with authority, too.
So what's not to like, Ray? Looks like a trivial pursuit. Just ask Brett Buck, he'll tell you.
My wife's new window treatment.
Yeah, window treatments. It's the landing. We're looking for a water landing here. Al Raby, eat your heart out. You know you could crash this thing and not break the prop. Now the only thing left, Jim, is see if you can get it right in the water on a landing, and then I'll be impressed. Need a full water carrier deck landing. Jim Sumner. Oh, Jim, you couldn't have timed it perfect. Look at that. Unbelievable. Jim, you are the showman of showmen. I am impressed. Allah has smiled on you. Look at this. You got to put your boots on to go get your plane. Who else besides Jim could have pulled that off? Didn't even flip over and break a wing. Jim, you're okay. I don't care what Warren Walker says about you at all.
Warren Walker!
Good, that thing flies good. I think you should let Warren Walker fly it in the contest. Jim, that was perfect. That's showmanship. See, you know what showmanship is.
Run my rear wheels right off.
Ah. Right in the puddle, Ray. Could you have planned it better?
No, it's a seaplane.
It's a seaplane, I know. Hard to believe.
Yeah.
Well, if you crash it, you just go down to the store and get some more Venetian blinds and snap. And if it's too heavy, you put on 8-10 more Venetian blind.
Probably.
You know, you could land inverted and the motor would not stop. You wouldn't even break the prop. That's very good, Jim. I'm impressed. I have to, Midgley will be impressed when he sees this.
Very pleasantly surprised that it flies as well.
How much does it weigh?
49.5 ounces.
Yeah, that's light.
All the way, there's no incidents in the wings.
I can see you got 10 different flap horns on it. You got Tom Morris paid his mortgage payment with all those horns and push rods.
Balance is on the leading edge.
Unbelievable.
What happened to it? You got a rear wheel? No, there's no rear wheel, right?
I wore them off on that last landing. I had put grass wheels on them, those light foam ones, and this asphalt must have chewed it right off.
Okay.
I didn't know you were that old.
56, July 30th.
What happened to the gas tank? You didn't paint it yet, or?
No, the filler neck originally was down here. So I cut it just below the filler neck, up this line, and across here. Turned around, had my boss in the machine shop, Healy arc it back in.
Noel, what did you have? A Commando, Noel? You had a Commando? Norton Commando?
It was a tricked out Commando. It was a street rod. 300 pounds soaking wet. About 75 horses.
Launch him, yeah.
Can you go get him?
Yeah, I'll go get him.
Insurance Company. Simply visit a New York State Allstate agent for a free quote or log on to 1067lineFM.com and register for your chance to win. Good morning, it's 10:20. This is Jack Gradiville, 106.7 Light FM weather. Warm blue skies today, sunshine, 61 for the high. Tonight it'll be clear down to 42.
To get in position, we want to get Jose Modesto's first official. And Warren and I are gonna get back to the house pretty soon with that brunch is being prepared for us by our lovely wives, but we'll stay for another little bit. I want to get Jose. You know, who else? Danny still has to fly. Hoping Warren's having a great time meeting all the guys from our area, just as we would do if Not if, it's when we're going to go back out to California. With Karen's upcoming imminent retirement, we may be doing a lot of traveling. Never can tell. Jose Modesto, first official. And thanks to Jose, of course, for the generous loan of his J-Factor plane for our 90 development. And it's nice that Warren got to fly it a couple times this morning. We have learned a lot from it. It's been a good learning experience. Hey, Jose!
But it was fun building to me. You know, 80% of the hobby.
The future of stunt.
Once I fly,
You know? So, I built this thing so I could have a 65 Pro.
Buddy Wieters, first official. Now we're not going to get much, we're probably not even going to see the end of the first round before we leave for our brunch, but I'm sure Warren's had a good day. I've had a good day so far. And it really paid for us to get up early and get those flights in before anybody was here. Because once the contest starts, there's just no way you can do that.
Hey.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, hello.
If it gets real windy and you don't want to fly, come on over for a while. We'll have a stunt party at my house.
Ooh, buddy. Buddy loves those low bottoms.
Yeah, yeah. Buddy bottoms, they should call them.
Are you gonna invite the people over tonight?
It's up to Warren.
No, that's me asking you.
No, you don't understand the question. The question is, do you want to go for pizza? Do you want to have a stunt party? What do you want to do?
I thought they were synonymous. Pizza in the shop. I thought that's the way it worked.
I think what you need to do is check with the women before we castrate ourselves here.
That's probably a good idea.
I think we should let them decide.
See how it goes.
I mean, you know what the answer would be if it was up to me.
I got you.
There'd be no waffles. There'd be pizza for breakfast.
Hey, just for the record.
Ask Warren. This way I can blame him. I'm Warren.
What kind of pizza are you anyway? You strike me as a straight pepperoni guy.
Pepperoni. You got it, baby.
You don't have a starter with you,
Sure. You need it right now? Yeah, we had to get Banjock our starter. His four-stroke wasn't looking like it wanted to start in this cool weather. Yeah, I guess if it was up to me, it'd be more pizza parties and less waffles for lunch. I don't know. Anyway, well, the place that we normally go for pizza, Trackside, is not open on Sunday, but we have a mafia place in the next town that, if they're not having a mafia hoedown, we can sneak in the back room and get some pizza. We'll find out. Whoa, a little low.